I now call the meeting of the Code Enforcement Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Hillsborough County Code Enforcement Board hearing. When addressing the board, please state your name and address and speak clearly into the microphone. If you're planning to speak during the hearing, you must have signed in. Presentations by the county, respondent, or respondents, and opposition must be kept to a maximum of 10 minutes each. The board may recess for 12:30 p.m. and reconvene at 1:30 p.m. to conclude business if necessary. The process for the hearing is as follows. Your case will be announced. Ms. Meyer will conduct the oath of office. Staff will present their evidence on your case. You will be allowed to review the evidence and explain what has happened. I will close the hearing. The board will deliberate, make a motion, vote, and then I will announce the decision. The board may ask questions and allow other witness testimony if necessary. The board issues an order for you to come into compliance. It's your responsibility to call and leave a message requesting that the inspection to be confirmed in compliance. If you fail to call for an inspection, or if you've called and the inspector found that you have not complied, you will receive a notice by mail. By law, you have 10 days to contest the finding of noncompliance. Otherwise, it will be considered correct and a lien may be placed against your property. If you have any questions, these rules are outlined in Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances and Laws, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14. Any will need a record of these proceedings. The record is comprised of testimony and evidence upon which your appeal is based. It is your responsibility to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceeding is made. By law, you have 30 days from the date of the order to appeal the board's decision to circuit court. If you would please silence all devices except for your web.
Mr. Chair, we're getting some audio feedback from you.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you were leaning on a microphone or if there's anything blocking the microphone.
Shouldn't be. Is it better now?
Yes, it does sound better.
All right, let me move a little bit more away from the microphone. Does that help?
So far, so good.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll need roll call.
Ordinaro?
Here.
Boland?
Here.
Clayton?
Here.
Lorenzen?
Present.
Urbaniak?
Here.
Wright?
Here.
Durazio?
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to need approval for the minutes of the previous meeting, which was held October the 30th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
I move to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm getting audio issues on my end. Who made the first and second for that motion?
The first, I believe, was Mr. Lorenzen, was it not? And Mr. Fitzpatrick second.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I believe you're getting some audio issues. I would suggest having you restart your session of WebEx. It seems to be coming from your microphone.
I'll try it.
Chair, can you hear us? You're currently muted. I can unmute you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. It seems to have cleaned it up.
Okay, so, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, go ahead. We'll see if the audio issue continues.
Okay. We're going to need the oath of witness.
All county staff who will be testifying must take the oath of witness. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. Board members, we have two cases. Fitzgerald, one of the county attorneys, is going to provide some testimony. So we're going to hear those first. The first one is on page 3, number 5, case number CE 200-10803. The violator is Stephen L. Menninger. Location 120 Mary Kay Court. We have service. Present to testify on behalf of the violator.
Good morning. Jim Carr, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. The property in question is located at 120 Mary Kay Court in Brandon, Florida. It is currently owned by Bruno One Incorporated. This property is in foreclosure and in bankruptcy. At the direction of the county attorney's office, the listed violator is the Chapter 7 trustee, Stephen Menninger, who's been appointed by the U.S. Bankruptcy Court to have control of this and approximately 26 other properties in order to collect rents and maintain the property. So Hillsborough County Ordinance 0963, as amended, applies to this case. This property was first inspected on 7/17/2020 by neighbor complaint. The violations are extreme overgrowth conditions and an extremely hazardous public nuisance due to the unsecured, unsanitary pool on the property, which we had found out of 3 out of 7 inspections to be wide open at the gates. We do temporary abate the pool gates with zip ties when we go out. I have not come in contact with the property owner, the violator, or any of the representatives. I had made my final inspection yesterday, and the conditions are still the same. The pictures for the hearing are dated on the November 5th. There are several school bus stops, a county park, and an elementary school, all within a 1-mile radius of this property. And since Halloween, the neighbors have been mowing the front yard for the safety of the children in the neighborhood. And we are here today.
Okay. Is there anybody else testifying?
No one in the room.
Okay. Board members, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Somebody want to make a motion? Go ahead.
I move in case CE 200108803 that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation and the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 3 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $500 a day be assessed.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 3 days, $500 fine.
Page 11, number 19, case number CE 2000-2125. The owner, or I'm sorry, the violator is Stephen L. Menninger. Location 1913 Old Sawmill Road. We have service. No one is here on behalf of the violator.
Code Officer Larry Hoffman with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property 1913 Old Sawmill Road is in connection with the previous case that Jim Carr offered testimony to. It is in foreclosure and bankruptcy, and it is not occupied. The case was started back in February of this year. It was cited for accumulations and overgrowth. I have been in contact with the attorney for the violator, and I my last visit to property yesterday, and both violations of accumulation and overgrowth remain at this time.
Board members, you have any questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, who's
Go,
that?
Michael.
All right. I move in case number CE 200022125, that based on evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances listed in staff presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, actions taken by the violator by its history, I grant 14 days to come to compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $250 per day be assessed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next case, please.
Turn back to page 2 of your agenda, number 3. Case number CE 2000-3108. The violator is Ace Golf Incorporated. The location is the county right-of-way. We have service, and so one person is signed in virtually, and some other people are here in person. If the people who are in person, please come up to the podium. And if you will all raise your right hand to take the oath of witness, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And each of you give your name and address for the record, please, into the microphone.
William Place, 610 Garrison Cove Lane, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
And your relation to this case is?
I'm the owner of the property.
Of the property?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sue Lee, 610 Garrison Cove Lane, and I'm also the owner of the property.
Are you also the owner of Ace Golf?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Brandon Cuddy, 6938 Socher Street, Wesley Chapel, Florida, 33545. I am the general manager of the property.
Thank you. Who is virtual, I can go ahead and give them the oath if we can get them on the screen.
Michael Jacobson. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm Michael Jacobson, address 18327 Cypress View Way, Tampa, Florida, 33647.
Mr. Jacobson, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And what is your relation to the case?
I am the president of the Homeowners Association adjacent to the golf club.
Thank you.
If it please the board, I'll give my testimony from here under the circumstances of operating the slides also. I'm Officer Carmen Passano with the Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. The property in question here is a section of median located at Regents Park Drive and Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. You can see the sign in question. Here's Bruce B. Downs and Regents Park Drive. The area in here, as you can see, has no folio number. It is owned by Hillsborough County. Property was first inspected on 2/28/2020 by way of a request of Code Enforcement Administration that I respond to investigate a sign erected by the Pebble Creek Golf Course on the county-owned median. At 1:15, I arrived at the location and I identified a monument sign advertising Pebble Creek Golf Course. The monument was 15 feet long, 6 feet high, and 2 feet wide, and there was a power to the sign for the lights. As you can see in the red line on this photograph, that is the closest area of the golf course property to the sign. The sign is erected off the property, and under section 7.0202 of the Land Development Code, it says prohibited signs specifically. The following signs are prohibited and no variance may be granted, which would authorize same. We go to subsection J, and it says off-premises signs, which the sign qualifies. The violator is Ace Golf Incorporated, who operated Pebble Creek Golf Course doing business at 10550 Regents Park Drive. I met with the manager, Brandon Curry, on that date, and I was told that Ace Golf operated the golf course since 2009. The sign was at the location at the time of purchase. On March 3rd, 2020, Kim King, as a project manager with Development Services, has sent me an email that the monument sign is not permitted. As a result, I had a notice of violation for the condition of prohibited sign mailed to the violator.
Okay.
Sorry, I took a break in my breath.
That's okay.
On March 10, 2020, I received a phone call from Bill Keith, owner of Ace Golf Incorporated, and we discussed the issue of the sign. He advised that he would apply for a permit. I had been advised that no permit would have been issued, and there was some correspondence between, I'll get to that page. Right here is David Mechanic and Cameron Clark, which is an assistant county attorney. And he also pointed out at that time that the sign prohibits off-premises signs, and this prohibition is not subject to a variance, confirming what I had addressed to the board. I understand that that the gentleman will give testimony that the sign had been there prior to their purchase. I can attest to that. The sign being there in the 1990s. I recall seeing that sign. His support for the sign being at the location, but that support does not grant the approval, nor are they in a position to approve the sign for being at that location. That's the end of my testimony.
Mr. Chair, you were muted. Could you repeat that?
Yes. Who wishes to go first on the respondent?
Bill Place. Property. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to appear. This is not a typical sign code enforcement violation. He spoke without a mask. Okay, I will try to speak through this mask. This is not a typical case. This really is rather odd how it even came before code enforcement. If you can think back to a time 53 years ago when Bruce B. Downs, which is now an 8-lane highway, was a dirt road. 1967 was when Pebble Creek Golf Club was constructed, and it's set back well off of Bruce B. Downs. And they had signage at that time when the golf club was built. This whole question of the sign was only triggered not by a complaint, but when the HOA, in trying to do the right thing, asked the county when they went to repaint and update their signs what they would need to do to be in compliance. This is a case that I find even the code enforcement officer kind of shakes his head and everybody looks at and says, this really doesn't quite fit into our typical code laws and things. And for that, I'm thankful that the board can hopefully add some sanity to this process. I'd like to present some slides. Members of the board, can you see this okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to orient it here. As I said, this sign has been on the premises in various form since the late 60s. It was erected as an on-premises sign. The property surrounding the sign was owned by the developer who built the golf course, built the residential community, and so at that point, it was an on-premises sign. And note that this does predate sign ordinances. The county, at one point, decided to replace the entrance to the golf club with a public road called Regents Park Drive. And at that point, created the island, which Officer Pisano showed you in the slide. It is something that at that point, the sign was relocated and onto what is now county-owned property in that island. The sign is essential to the safety and traffic control for the 1,400 home Pebble Creek subdivision. It's essential for people going down Bruce B. Downs to see and get to a very popular public recreational amenity that serves over 60,000 visitors a year. Pebble Creek Golf Club is an integral part of the Pebble Creek community. The signage is similar to all the other HOA signs that are on the premises. And in fact, there's been complicity with the HOA and the golf club in the maintenance of these signs. They consider it, now I'm speaking of the only two HOAs that serve the 1,400 homes in Pebble Creek. They view this as essential. So just to give you an orientation, in yellow is the Pebble Creek subdivision. In red is the outline of the golf club. As you can see, it is a major part of the community and integral to the community. As I said, there's over 1,400 homes, the golf course, there's commercial. Bruceby Downs is to your far left. There's commercial all along Bruceby Downs. And as I said before, this at one point was all owned by one developer who owned the golf course, owned all the entry property. And over the years, the ownership of that property has changed as the community has evolved. In fact, pieces of the golf course, such as the pool and clubhouse area, initial clubhouse area, were sold to the HOA. And I'd like to show you how this is how the community was originally built and how the entry drive was to the golf club. Now that's Bruceby Downs to your left there. The dark line is Pebble Creek itself. And where I've noted the entry drive, it was a straight road into where the golf club clubhouse is. And this is the drive that I'll show you on the next slide, which later became part of the county road called Regents Park Drive, where the sign is currently located. So the sign was at that entry drive and then later relocated when Regents Park Drive was created. This road was created is for what I could tell from county records in the early 80s. And at that point, that entry drive was replaced with Regents Park Drive, a county public road. And the median was created, the island that you see there. So essentially, that roadway that was golf club property now became public property as far as being a new road. And just to give you an idea, the only access to the 1,400 homes are through 3 entrances, which can be very confusing to patrons of the golf club, because you have Regents Park Drive, which circles around. You've got a north entrance and a south entrance. So as you go down Bruceby Downs, you see Regents Park, and you see Regents Park again. And in the middle, you see Pebble Creek Drive. Now, as best as we can tell, when the North Regents Park was created, so was the middle and southern entrances, where they also have those kind of islands at the entrance. The interesting fact is, for the 2 entrances to the south, those islands were deeded to the HOAs. For some reason, the north one remained as county property. It was never deeded to the HOAs, but the county is now recognizing that perhaps this was an error, and they have been in discussions with the HOA about deeding that property to them. Just to give you some orientation of those 2 southern entrances, I took pictures, and you can see that the monuments at those locations resemble the monument at the North Regents Park Drive, where our sign is located. It's the same construction, very similar. All of the signage is also in keeping with the community signage, and that is because we work closely with the HOA, as we did when they wanted to repaint these signs in in the what actually caused this code enforcement violation. Here I have a document that memorializes the ongoing relationship with the HOA and is recorded in the county records, where they state that the golf club is to continue paying the HOA for the maintenance of the signage at the entrance. This is a agreement that the HOA supports and wants to continue. So I will tell you again that this does not easily fit into the existing county laws, and so has been difficult for interpretation, both on the county side and I think with the officer involved. It's not something that you look at and say, these people are just really trying to violate the law. They've put something in place which shouldn't be there, that they intentionally did something wrong. It's obvious that the county had complicity in this as they built Regents Park Drive, and that this sign goes back even before our sign ordinances. Nevertheless, I've also tried to address the issue. Since flash forward, we're now talking about a sign code that says we don't want off-premise signs. And I find, as I look through our county, a lot of examples of off-premise signs. I would venture to say there's probably over 100 of them. This is in Citrus Park. It is an example of a monument sign with a number of businesses on it.
Sir.
I can tell you that the one in the lower right.
Go ahead, Chair. Chairman, can you repeat yourself?
Yes, I would like to interrupt this gentleman. The signs you're talking about in other places other than your sign, that's not what we're discussing today. If you wish to report those signs, you can do that through code enforcement. Let's stick to your sign for today. Thank you.
All right, sir. I will pass on those. I would like to submit into the record, I've had my attorney review the question of whether an off-premise sign would be allowed, and I will submit that. I would also like to submit 2 letters, one from each of the HOAs, who both are requesting that the sign stay as it is. And in conclusion, I would like to respectfully ask that you consider this for what this is. It's a sign that has been there for 53 years, back to one of the first golf courses built in this county, when it was built on a dirt road. It's something that was built as an on-premises sign. Now, the ownership of that property did change as the community evolved. The golf club sold part of the property to the HOA. And even recently, we sold another parcel of the entryway to the HOA as recently as 3 years ago. So that is HOA property up there. But again, this is a sign that they want because the golf club is something that generates a lot of traffic, a lot of people going into their community, and they don't want people driving all around looking for the golf club. Another point, as I said, is that the county was very involved in this, creating those islands, creating that public road on what was golf course property. I won't go into as far as this being what they would think was an off-premises sign. It really was not. It was on-premise. And it is part of the PUD, the Planned Urban Development, which includes the residents, the golf club, and the commercial activity in the entire Pebble Creek community. The community considers the sign essential. I hope you will too. I thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Mr. Pisano? Mr. Pisano? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Did you not testify that this went to the zoning or planning or whoever?
Yes, there are two sources in the county. Kim King, she is the project manager, and she is pretty much, as far as I know, for a long time, controls the permitting process for signs, and also to the county attorney, assistant county attorney, Cameron Clark. And he included me in on emails that was conducted between the defendant's attorney and himself as far as this addressing the sign.
Okay. All right, board members, do you have any questions for the witness?
I got a question for Mr. Pisano.
Go ahead.
Okay. Any life safety issues with the sign in its current location?
No, none at all.
All right, and then the second one, the person testified that he thinks there's contact between ACE and the county as far as maybe the county deeding the property back to the HOA. Do we know what the progress is on that?
That I do not know. I know only of that in conversation. I had not seen anything in writing. There is an intent from what a hearsay type situation is that the county is in a negotiation with the homeowners association to deed that island back to them or to them for reasons of probably maintenance and control of the island.
Sir, may I add to that, please?
Certainly, go ahead.
I was gonna ask the witness follow up, but that's the same question, so go ahead.
One of our other speakers, the HOA president, Mr. Jacobson, can also speak to your question. Also like to add that Kim King was mentioned. I visited with Kim King and searched through county records to see if I could locate the sign permits. Unfortunately, county records only go back to the early 80s and they are handwritten in a book. So prior to the 80s, there are just no records of the permitting. So given that this was the late 60s, I could not conclude either way that there was or was not a permit because there just simply are no county records.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, sir, your testimony is that this sign has not changed since the early 80s. The pictures of the sign that's shown appear to be either a refresh of some kind, but the size of the sign and everything, the square footage, has not changed since it was originally installed?
It has always been on that same monument. It has been repainted, and I know the lettering has been reconfigured, but the actual size of that has not changed.
In your testimony, and I'm sure we'll hear from the HOA folks, but you're saying that the island for this particular, I know you're talking about the north parcel, but for this particular section is still under the county or it's under the HOA as far as ownership?
Sir, it is still listed as county-owned property by some mistake, I believe.
Okay.
All right, let's hear from the gentleman from the HOA real quick.
Okay, great. So I think you can hear me, correct?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So I would like to clarify one thing there. The sign is actually, it was not exactly in that same spot for the last however many years. It was moved, but only simply because there was a parcel of land that was taken from the HOA and gifted to the county in order to extend the entranceway of the community from what was a single lane road or one lane each way to multiple lanes each way. When that happened, we believe the county actually made a mistake when they built the median, by not deeding it back to the association, so that the sign, which had to be relocated during that kind of expansion, was not actually deeded back to us, and making this typical. We are in discussions with the county to acquire that land back. These conversations have been happening for about a year now with our attorneys and various members of the county to reacquire it. At this time, we have had an offer from the county from a dollar amount that wasn't quite agreed to. So we're still in discussions to figure out how to gain that property back, as it was originally something that should have, we believe, just from a clerical mistake perspective, not given. Now, I want to make known that this land that the county currently owns has been maintained by not by the county, but the association has maintained that property since it was actually created. So sometime in the, I believe, early 90s or late 80s when it was created, we have always maintained it. You talked about the wall that it's attached to. That was created during the actual development of that median by the association. You had mentioned power there as well. That power has been there since the creation of the median, and is controlled by the association, not by ACE-GOF. And we are actually maintaining the power bills, electric bills, and so forth, and have used this as our primary entrance since this community was actually developed. We do have 3 entrances to our community, as Mr. Place had mentioned, and this signage is really critical for us. It helps reduce the number of golfers that are just driving through our residential part of the neighborhood looking for the entrance to the golf club. We don't see this as a negative. The community really sees this as a benefit to all of our residents, as it reduces traffic to areas of the community that shouldn't have excessive traffic. I believe there's approximately 60,000 cars that come through to visit ACE-GOF every year. And it really is a safety concern for us by not having that we will have people driving through our community.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a question for you. We're
Sure.
running out of time. How long do you think it is going to take to come up with some settlement on whether the county's you're going to buy it back, et cetera? How much time do you think that's going to take?
I would hope that it's done in the first quarter of 21. That would be my hope.
3 months? 4 months?
I would hope by March that it is acquired property, but we're waiting, I believe, on next steps from the county. I'd have to follow up with my attorneys at Shoemaker to validate that, but I'm pretty sure we're waiting for a county counteroffer.
Okay. All right, to the board. This is for discussion only. I believe if they're in negotiations, it's not a safety hazard. We might want to consider continuing this case for maybe 3 months, 4 months, have them come back and give us the detail of what's going on or what is not going on. That is just my opinion. Board members, I'm waiting to listen to what your opinions are.
I agree with that assessment, Mr. Bordenaro. I think that we should kind of try to let some of these legal issues take their course. As of right now, the way it's been laid out, they definitely have a sign that is on someone else's property, and they don't have any access of their property or frontage on Bruce B. Downs to make it happen. So, permitting, even though it's been relocated at some point, it needs to be permitted. So I would agree and let them go through the process. So Barring any other discussion, I would move to continue this case for 120 days.
All right, we have a motion. If there's no other discussion, do we have a second?
Mr. Baniak will second.
Okay. How long did you want to give them, Mr. Lorenzo?
120 days.
120 days? We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one is opposed. Okay, you have 120 days. You'll come back before the board. We don't have a date set, so they'll notify you by mail. And you'll tell us the progress you are, and we'll go from there. All right, gentlemen?
Sir, may I ask a question?
You may.
If it is completed that the HOA does acquire the property from the county, at that point, will that then be something that the board would support the ongoing, validity of the sign?
We would have to discuss that, but I am sure if you get in negotiations with the county, with the purchase, that your attorney is going to put in that the monument stays.
Sure.
Okay? All right. Next case, please.
Turn to page 3, number 4, case number CE 1901-4186. The owner is Dan Gottfried and Judith L. Gottfried, 10715 South US Highway 301. We have service, and Mr. Gottfried is here. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Pardon me?
Your name and address, please.
Dan Gottfried, 11325 Torrey Pines Drive, Riverview.
Thank you.
Good morning, board. Jason Zalva, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. On September 9th, 2019, I arrived at 10715 South US Highway 301 for a report of possible vagrants and other problems with the mobile homes on this property. Upon arrival, I observed a male subject. He verbally identified himself as Perry Dyke. Perry lived in the van. His son lived in the second mobile home. I walked the property and located a vagrant sleeping in the shed that would later be knocked down, and 2 other mobile homes which were unsecure and very dangerous. I observed the following violations: accumulations of household goods, various electronics, tools, old furniture, scrap wood, mattresses, auto parts, clothing, and other junk trash debris. The grass was overgrown throughout the entire property. Vagrants were coming and going from the property on a regular basis. The nuisance of conditions, the nuisance from the amount of accumulations and deteriorated decks was also a problem. 2 of the mobile homes were vacant and 1 shed were also a nuisance. At that point, I temporarily secured the buildings the best I could until they could be removed. I also assigned them for general standards for the dwelling. Officer Bishop assisted me in securing one of the mobile homes. We were able to secure the other 2 mobile homes and sheds. The vagrant had left at that point. I located the address of the property owner, went to his home, and I was not able to make contact with him, but I posted a 15-day notice of violation on the front door. Later on September 18th, while on routine patrol, I re-inspected the property to ensure vagrants had not returned and access structure. They had. I then again re-secured the door to one of the mobile homes where they'd been staying. On September 25th, I received an eviction document from Mr. Dan Gottfried, and I placed this case into pending status. From that point, due to the COVID and the moratorium on evictions, I extended this case for several months. On July 2nd of 2020, this year, I had placed case back into inspect status, and at that point referred the case. I explained to Mr. Godfrey that the eviction had started prior to the COVID shutdown and the moratorium. However, there was a lot of stuff that he could clean up on the property himself, even not being able to evict the people. It should be noted that when I originally met Mr. Dyke, who lived on the property, he had claimed that he had a lease with Mr. Gottfried, From my understanding, that was a fake lease, but it caused Mr. Gottfried having to go through the eviction process either way. Yesterday, I met with Mr. Godfrey on his property, and he had a cleanup crew removing much of the accumulations that were visible from the front of the property. Mr. Dyke was also on scene, and his son, and they still had not paid. They had no lease with Mr. Godfrey. They just basically been squatters living there who refused to leave. For that reason, Mr. Godfrey has not been able to get in and demolish the 2 mobile homes that were there and remove them because of these 2 people have been hostile towards him and his workers. And that is where we are today.
Okay. Sir, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we decided last year to close the rest of the park up, these 3 homes, and sell it. There is a contract on the property right now that is pending because it's been delayed because of COVID over getting rezoning in January. They had to resubmit one more paperwork because of the amount of traffic on 301. But to give a little history, on 5/27/19, the guy that owned that one trailer that was left there, and I have this paper here, we paid him on 5/27. We paid him to move out, and we gave him a truck. He owed us a lot of money. It was the son of the woman that ran the park for us for years. So we did that, and everything was fine. He left, and we were gone. And 2 days later, on about 6/1 or 6/2, we had a report that there were squatters out there. And I was on the road. I drive a truck. I run cross country. And my wife went out there with the police department. And Terry was there, this Terry Dyke, Dyke, I guess. And he told the police that he had a deal, not with me, that he had a deal with the guy that owned this old trailer. And that he wasn't going to move. And there were 4 policemen there. And 3 of them said, well, you've got to go. And he brought out an old piece of paper, a wrinkled piece of paper, and said, I made a deal with the former tenant, the owner of that trailer, and I have to stay there. And the 4th officer said, this sounds like a domestic problem. This is out of our hands. So on 9/1/19, we gave him the 3-day notice that he had to leave. On 9/23, and that would be this here, basically was 9/23. I came back and we went down and filed the eviction, which was $423 there and another $140 here was another. It comes to like $600 to evict. And this is 6 months before COVID. So we said, we'll have to wait it out and then we will get the eviction and we'll come in. In the meantime, I had some people come and look at demolishing these units. And every time they come out there, they run into this guy and his son, and sometimes they have a child out there. And nobody will do it. Nobody will assume that liability until it's over with. So the property's got to be empty. So when I met code enforcement, he's been very fair to work with. We decided, well, we brought the one guy out that I have private, and he started knocking one of the homes down. And the guy came out and said, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to do this and that. That's a long story. So we ended up going back to the police. I did 4 days ago to Hillsborough County, the sheriff's office, and I said, oh, can you come out there? And the master deputy who was in charge there said, no, this is a domestic squabble. Until this eviction is in effect governed by, we can't do anything. There's nothing we're going to do. We can't pull people out of there because he can say they're his friends. So last week or this week, we spent almost $1,000 taking everything down from the front. We took away the piles of the garbage, and that's basically where I'm at with it. I don't know what else to do. I don't know. I really don't have any answer until the court does the eviction.
Okay. Ms. Murphy?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Well, I don't know if you can see me, but you can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
my question to you, this gentleman's prediction, do we have any idea when they are going to start doing the evictions in court again?
I do not know. I would have to probably do some research on that. I know the county is also looking into that area as well. Maybe I think the Board of County Commissioners had an agenda item, so I would have to look into that.
Mr. Bordenero?
Yes.
I can tell you that the governor in the last, I want to say 3 weeks, lifted the ban on evictions, so that they are proceeding as we speak. There's a huge backlog.
Okay, I was just trying to get some sort of time. I understand the predicament this gentleman's in. He's done what he can do, but it's up to the court now. And, you know, do we give him the continuance until the court starts back up again? Does this go on for how long? You see where I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, I guess maybe if the board wants to do a short continuance, I don't know. Maybe we can have a better idea as to when they may start back up. Like the inspector said, maybe it's just such a backlog.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
We have sold, like I said, there's a contract on the property, and when they supposedly get done in January and review the DOT findings, and by February, so I have to have some type of closure on this, because it is my responsibility to have the tenant out. It is his responsibility, such as we talked to the buyer, of destroying the homes, but I have to get the tenant out. And the tenant, actually, this Terry Powell, he's not a tenant. I'm sorry, that's not the right word. He had made the statement to the guy in the tractor, said, listen, you just tell Godfrey there, give me $1,500 cash and I'll leave here tomorrow. I mean, it's just, so that's, he has to be out of there by.
Go ahead, Chairman. You're at the wrong place for that, okay? That's what needs to be said in court, and that's what we're trying to figure out. This board cannot order him to leave. That would take the judge. Okay. In my opinion, what I'm, my proposal, and of course it'll have to go along with the board, is that we give some time to see when the court is going to do these evictions, and that you appeal to the court when they do, that this is time sensitive. That's my opinion. Board members, anybody?
I have a question. I have a question for the witness.
Go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know if I was on. What has the sheriff's office posted the notice yet? Where are you in the process of the eviction? Has the sheriff's office actually gone out and posted the notice on the door?
Eviction, back in last year, you start with the 3-day notice, and then you post the 3-day notice, and then the sheriff, you send out the letter to say that that's occurred. And usually in these cases, you know better than I do, that they're not responded to, but this guy actually responded to it. So then they just said it's all pending a court date. And if you call the Hillsborough County on this information here, they will give you a report of the status of the file, and the file is always pending. I mean, it's so, yeah, it's all been posted. It's all been done the right way, but we just have to wait to get the court hearing to where explain to them what happened.
Do you have an attorney on this, or are you doing all this yourself?
I did it myself.
I think you should, well, I can't give legal opinion, but it seems like the process is going and that it's hung up by the judge. Is that what you surmise?
Yes, it is. It is. If we call, as we've done, we call the county and the county said it's in a pending status. And one time, probably a month or two ago, a lady from the county said, we need to hire an attorney. And I honestly thinking this is not right now. I mean, I've done the procedure. I spent the money, $700. I spent $2,000 to clean it up. Why should I have to hire an attorney just to get in front of a judge? I mean, that just didn't seem right to me. I mean, it's pending. I went through these, years ago. So all I can do is wait until they give us a court date. Then maybe I'll have to hire an attorney, but I don't know what else to do.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other board members have any comments?
I have a question for Officer Zalva.
Certainly. Officer Zalva?
He's here. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just curious, as far as progress on any of these items, it sounds like all these items are somewhat outstanding, but since you went to the property, I think your testimony was yesterday, has the owner done everything he can outside of the obvious eviction and demolish of the mobile homes and things like that to make progress on the other items?
The owner has been very receptive and has made great progress as dealing with a lot of the nuisance conditions. He does have the two hostile tenants there, one living in the van, the other one living in the trailer. Outside of that, the biggest nuisance condition at this point is the two mobile homes, which at this point cannot be secured because they're one's partially demolished. So that is a nuisance condition. And I advised him that he can, have them removed because they're not hooked up to power, obviously, but the tenant is in the one in the back. The problem is whenever he brings a crew in there, the tenant gives him heck about that. And that's where we are. But he has made great progress, and I do know he is trying to move forward. He's not just pushing it off.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, based on that testimony and the fact that the owner is doing his best to move forward with the items that he has, I would be happy to make a motion to do a 60-day continuance to go through, see if some of these things for eviction come through and give him an opportunity to do what he needs to do with the property.
If there's no other discussion, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mark Patrick will second.
Okay, Fitzpatrick, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So yeah, we're going to continue this for 60 days. They're going to have to notify you when that would be. We don't have the schedule out yet, I do not believe. See where you get with the court, see where they're at. Let them know how important this is, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next case.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Turn back to page 1 of the agenda under continued cases. Number 1, case number CE 1901-4173. The owner is Pamela J. Aycock. Location 10911 East Old Hillsborough Avenue. This is a case that was first heard at the East Side Magistrate hearing on January 14, 2020, and it was continued actually it was a 2-part order. Several items were given time to comply, and then the improper use of zone was continued. And then, of course, we had all the hearings canceled. So this is the first hearing we could get it back to. And someone is online virtually, I believe, to testify on this case.
Frank, we believe you're muted. I'm going to unmute you right now. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was. I apologize. I had the video on, but I forgot to unmute. Yeah, this is Frank Aycock. I was trying to send a text to my wife. I totally blew it today. Had gotten COVID. And
can I give you the oath of witness before you go on any further?
Oh, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Raise your right hand where I can see it. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name and address.
My name is Frank Acock. The address is 10911 Old Hillsborough Avenue. My wife, Pamela, that address is 3602 Whistle Stop Lane in Valrico, Florida, 33594. And I'm sorry, on the Old Hillsborough address, I forgot to put the city and zip, which is Tampa, 33610.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wait. We need to hear from the inspector first.
Oh, okay. Not a problem.
Okay, my name is Charles Harwell, Code Enforcement Officer for Hillsborough County. As noted, the case number is 19014-171. The address is 10911 East Old Hillsborough Avenue in Seffner. This case originated on September 6th of 2019. The initial violations were accumulations, overgrowth, inoperable vehicles, and improper use of zone, which is, as you can see in the photograph, an RV used as a primary residence. They both, the registered on the property appraiser's website, Pamela is listed as the property owner, and both Pamela and Frank attended the hearing on January 14th. And at that time, there was a part 1 and a part 2, as mentioned. They were given 7 days to comply, $250 a day. Well, the accumulations, overgrowth, and inops have been complied. The only remaining violation is the RV. So that hearing was scheduled for April 28th. Due to COVID, it was canceled, rescheduled for July 24th, canceled again, rescheduled for September 15th, once again rescheduled, and here we are today. I spoke to the Frank, who's online, and he was exposed to COVID, and he tried to get it rescheduled, but I confirmed he had access to the internet and could attend virtually, so here we are today.
Okay, can you repeat the case number?
It's 19, let me look, I'll get it from here. I'm sorry, 19014173.
Okay, I thought you had said 71. My mistake. All right. Sir, it's your turn.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this is all last minute because I totally lost track of the day. After I did get over COVID, it has been crazy busy at work, and just that's on me, and I apologize. So this was all thrown together last minute with help from some people in communications and so forth. So the only issue remaining, honestly, and I spoke with Mr. Harwell and Mr. Saucier the other day, a week or so ago, and they had told me everything was good except for the use of the RV as a primary. During this whole COVID time, I will tell you that I got a name of an attorney through Rhonda Storms, who attends our church, and he and I have been in communication via email on and off through these months, and he's done some research, but it was not working face to face at all. He was doing everything, and so he wanted us to get together when everything settled down in order to be able to discuss moving forward with this. Based on what he's telling me, it does appear that this can be listed as a primary residence because of, it's quite honestly, it's as long as the double wide is that my wife is living in. It's 41 feet long. It's the same length. It's built on the same chassis. The only difference, well, it's not even a difference. It's got a tongue and everything else. So, and the most important thing, and I know you were the magistrate back then, but you may or may not remember, is that we had conferred with multiple people with the county on this before we purchased that RV to make sure that it could go on the property. And they, all the ones we talked to, and unfortunately, because of being in the RV, everything is in storage. So I have no clue if I did document who I spoke with, who that would have been. But it was multiple people. My wife and I both spoke to them, and they said as long as it was a park model and as long as all the utilities were hooked up according to code, that everything would be fine. There wasn't a problem. Well, it wasn't until 5-6 years later that this occurred. Granted, it was because of the inoperable vehicles and and different things that were that drew the attention. But we had been there for all of that time without an issue. The the other day when I spoke to Mr. Harwell and Mr. Saucier, they informed me. Excuse me, I got over the COVID, but I still got some of the congestion. Sorry about that. They informed me of a process which I was not made aware of until just then. It is, and I don't have it right in front of me, but it's with the Hillsborough County land development to non-conforming, I believe was the term, and I needed to get that started. 1 second. I'm going to mute for a second. Okay, my apologies. And I have not, because of it being so slam crazy busy. I work for a small company, and one of the guys was on vacation and gone for like 3 weeks. So we have just been up against the wall. So I unfortunately have not had time to go to the county and start that process. And I do need to try and get with this attorney, because he is pretty certain, based on the research he's done, that there is a way to get this set up so that it can stay as is, because I went to a lot of trouble to hook that thing up correctly. We've even blocked it and stabilized it and all the things, it's everything's done like you would a mobile home. And I've taken the tires off of it because it wasn't going anywhere. We built a deck in front of it. We have where the awning is, we have a deck with a washer and dryer on it, the whole bit. So, I mean, it's been a full-time living place. We just need to get this, some sort of a variance or something done to allow this. And you yourself, sir, even commented to the other board members at the time, I got to figure somebody around here can help this gentleman. And that was so nice of you to say that. But unfortunately, nobody has come up with anything until just recently to start this process that still needs to be done. And I'm guessing that hopefully I can get with the attorney, even though I haven't talked to him in probably a month or so, to try and see if we can get a face-to-face going and see if we can get something that the county will agree with so that we can put this issue to bed.
Okay. Mr. Pisano. How long would it take this gentleman if he went to apply for this variance?
You've asked me that question in other situations, and I don't have control over development services and their process. As we have seen in the past, under normal conditions, it's taken up to 6 months to have anything come out as an outcome from the start to finish. In today's conditions, I know that they still have a process that they do, and it is productive, but I don't know how that process at this time affects the time period and to where they can come to the same conclusion.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have a direct answer for you.
Well, maybe my question wasn't exactly what I was trying to say. With everything being closed and not closed, and you can't go here with the county, could he go down to the county within the next couple of days and apply for this variance?
There is and has not been any prohibited abilities for anybody not to apply for anything. It's just they don't get a lot of face-to-face time. A lot of things are done where they pick up the applications, drop them off, and then communicate otherwise with the assigned individual.
Oh, okay. That answered my question. Thank you. Okay, members of the board, do you have questions for this gentleman?
I got a question for Mr. Paisano. No life safety issues?
Not seen any.
No. All right. Well, under the current situation everywhere, I'd be okay. okay for a continuance till June of next year.
And for discussion though, I think we need to stipulate somewhere where he applies for this, rather quickly.
Are we in discussion or was that a motion waiting a second?
That was a motion in discussion.
Okay. I understand. Oh, okay. Well, while we're talking about thoughts, my thought is that in regards to this case that we gave a 90-day continuance to start this. I understand COVID. I understand the shutdowns. I understand this gentleman's, process. But since April of 2020, it's been 7 months. And in my opinion, I don't know if there's been enough traction here to show that we're making progress towards that end. I'd like to see, I understand the timeline and the delay, but instead of a continuance, I think I'd like to see a longer time and then maybe a penalty phase in order to incentivize to get this issue done, whether that's 90 or 120 days and a small fine or something like that. But to continue for another 6 months, I think is inconsistent with what we've done with other folks.
Can I address the gentleman his concerns?
No.
I'm sorry.
I'm inclined to agree with Mr. Lorenzen.
Okay. All right, we have a motion then. Do we have a second?
Mr. Urbaniak will second.
I didn't hear who second.
Mr. Urbaniak will second.
Okay. All right, so your motion again, Mr. Lorenzen.
Okay, I move in case number CE 19014-173 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 120 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $50 per day to assess.
Okay, any discussion? Do we have a second?
If it takes more than 120
Sir,
days.
no, sir, we're in the middle of voting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said discussion. I thought that meant me too.
That discussion for the board.
Okay.
No problem.
So $50 a day after 120 days, if he can't get it through the county, is that really gonna, would that be on him if he put through all the paperwork and it's still not done within the 120 days? That's what I'm concerned about.
Be on him. The order, once approved by the board, will remain as it is. And after that 120 days, the fine will start as ordered.
Yep. So he has the ability to then come back to the board or discuss or meet with the county and talk about the settlement of fines and determine of the timelines and things like that at that time. So if it's found that it's the county's fault for causing that issue, then he can address that and protest that.
Understood.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed?
Opposed. On that one.
All right, do a roll call, please.
Fortinaro? Fortinaro?
Yes.
Okay. Boland?
Opposed, no.
Clayton?
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes.
Thank you. Lorenzen?
Yes.
Urbaniak? Could you repeat that, sir? You are muted.
I'm sorry, I keep muting you. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes. Yes, I'm in favor. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Right?
Opposed?
Motion carried 5-2. Members Boland and Wright voted no.
Thank you. Okay, the motion's carried. Sir, you have 120 days to get the county to either give you a variance or remove the mobile home, motor home, whatever it is, the trailer.
I was told that originally that it could stay there as long as it wasn't hooked up to utilities. Has that now changed?
If it is not hooked up to utilities, they will worry with that problem. All we're worried about now is you getting it either zoned or not zoned. I can't tell you whether they can let you leave it on the property or not.
Okay. And I appreciate the time and everything, but I got to say, it seems if it takes 6 months or more, the 120 days and then beginning fines, which I've always heard, once a fine is imposed with you guys, it takes an act of God to get it waived. So I think that was rather, and you may say 7 months and not a lot of progress has been made, but you can't do a whole lot when everybody's shut down.
Sir,
I've tried what I can versus
sir, I realize what you're saying, but your case has already been adjudicated. Okay?
Yeah, I'm allowed to say
All right.
it's adjudicated, so that's why I'm saying
it's done.
Yeah.
Well, it's done. We're moving on to the next case.
All right.
Turn to page 5, number 8, case number CE 2000-1744. The owner is Med Central Corporation, location 7108 Causeway Boulevard. We have service, and we have a party here in person. Good morning. Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And state your name and address.
Francisco Otero Cosillo.
Get the microphone down.
Francisco Otero Cosillo, 13014 North Del Mabry Highway.
And
Tampa, Florida, 33618.
And what is your relation to this case?
We are the consulting firm handling the permitting.
Okay, and you have authorization from the owner to. Yes.
They actually, the doctors committee wrote a letter, but I apologize. I rushed over here and I didn't bring it. But
that's okay.
Yes, but they did write me a letter to act on their behalf.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind sending that to us afterwards.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, officer.
I'm Code Enforcement Officer Leon Saller with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. The property in question today is located at 7108 Causeway Boulevard, and it is owned by Med Central Corporation. The property is not in foreclosure. The property was first initially inspected by Supervisor Leslie Wayman on February 5th, 2020, and it was cited for a site development review plan. I last inspected this property on behalf of Supervisor Wayman on November 18th, 2020, and the site development plan, review plan violation was still not in compliance. And that's where we are today.
Okay. Sir, what would you like to say on your behalf?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I do. Like I said, we are the design build company that the ownership group hired to resolve this. And then let me give you a history of what has happened, after they hired us. If you look at the case, it's basically, it just seems like of pavement, just a pavement over a right of way. And it seems simple, but actually when you do a pavement without permitting, you have to take into consideration that you have the pavement on the right of way, but by paving something with no permit, there's drainage calculations that have to be taken into consideration. So, originally we were just going to address the paving on the right of way, but as of the last storm, that just came through here. There is the property on, I want to say, the east side. They had a development and it's causing flooding on our property. So since this violation incurred, there's other issues beyond the pavement. But I know the pavement is just the violation that we're here today for. But we wrapped up the engineering to take care of the actual violation and then also the drainage issues with the property. And there's an existing retention pond that works pretty adequate, but all the culvert are pretty much clogged and has a bad design to them. So we're going to be taking care of the actual paving in the right of way, and also some of the paving is going to come out because we have a redesign of it, doing a better job, but also we're doing the paving engineering and some drainage engineering too. We're going to be installing a new culvert to bring the whole site into compliance and with the better, no future drainage issues. But since the violation occurred, it took us some time to get the engineering done because there's so many issues with the site. But as of today, we've completed the engineering and we were going to go straight to construction, but the county recommends that we do a pre-submittal site hearing first. So we submitted that, and the earliest they could see us is, we have a pre-submittal conference December 1st. So based on how that goes, hopefully our plans address all the issues, and they'll, at the pre-submittal conference, they'll recommend if we add some stuff to it, which we'll do, and then right after the pre-submittal conference, we will submit for permitting. So that's where we're at with this case. But we're here to, I'm here to say that we are addressing the violation. My client is guilty of paving without the permit, but I think we're in the right direction of getting this resolved.
Okay, once you get the permit, how long is it going to take you?
From what, I've got a lot of cases with the county, and I guess they went to a new permitting system. And for the most part, the county's pretty quick. I could say that if you submit what they need. But I've been in a situation too where I asked for 3 months and it took a lot longer, and then the fines kicked in. But I really think after my pre-submittal December 1st, we might need to go back and redesign some things based on their recommendations. So just to be safe and to get this done right and not incur any fines. And again, from a safety standpoint, I think the rainy season's behind us, hopefully, and there's not going to be any flooding. So I would really like, if it's possible, the 120 days to get this done right without the risk of going into the fines. I respectfully ask for 120 days.
And members of the board, questions? Nobody from the board has a question? Do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Bordenero, I'd be interested to know what's the county's response to the request for the 120 days?
Ask away.
Someone here that can speak on behalf of the county can give us a response as to what its response is to the request for 120 days.
If he can submit everything he said by December 1st, county has no problem, as long as he's making progress.
In that case, I would move in case number CE200001744 for a 120-day continuance.
And the fine? You want to continue it?
Yes. Well, that's a good point. Let me change my motion.
Okay.
I move in case number CE200001744 that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, that I grant 120 days to come into compliance. And if compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $200 per day be assessed.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. You have 120 days, sir.
Thank you. Right.
Next case, please.
Okay, go back to page 4. Apparently I missed someone. Number 6, case number CE 2000-3434. The owner is the estate of Drusilla V. Bragg, location 6917 Blossom Avenue. We have service, and someone is here in person for this case. Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Jose Cruz, 312 Bellevue Avenue, Temple Terrace, Florida, 33617.
And what is your relation to this case?
I'm the personal representative to the estate.
Thank you.
Okay, officer.
Good morning. County Code Enforcement, and may it please the board. The property in question is located at 6917 Blossom Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614. The property is under the estate of Bragg Drusilla V. John Carry-On.
Thank you, sir.
The property is under the estate of Bragg Drusilla V, estate of, and is currently not occupied. The property is not in foreclosure. The property was first inspected March 12, 2020. Excuse me. The initial inspection revealed 14 violations. I performed a pre-hearing inspection on November 16, 2020 in preparation for this hearing, whereas I observed that the respondent was on site and had achieved compliance with several violations. The following violations are still in non-compliance: windows and exterior doors, nuisance conditions, unsecured structure, general standards for dwellings, exterior light fixtures, roofs and parts thereof, and exterior walls. This case was referred for a board hearing on May 21st, 2020. Photographs were taken on November 16th, 2020 in preparation for this hearing. I received notification from the respondent November 18, 2020 via text message exhibiting images that the primary structure located on 6917 Blossom Avenue has been secured. It is also important to note that during the course of management on this case, it was discovered that the ownership of the property has been subject to dispute in probate court. If the board so chooses to gather further information on that, I would refer to the respondent to go into details about it. Thank you.
Okay, sir, you want to tell us something about it?
Yes, we actually have a hearing to distribute the estate on December 16th at 11:30.
That's all you have to say?
I have some more pictures here. We did board. Did you get to see the property boarded up or not?
Thank you. So I did receive a text message on November 18th as stated on my testimony that the property had been secured. However, I personally have not gone there to personally witness that.
I don't know if you can see those pictures there, but it has been boarded up. Oh, let me see. Oh, you see them there? Yeah. So let's see here. This one. I don't know how the weather ladies do this. There you go. This one. So we did secure the property, and like the officer said, it's been a long dispute in court with probate. The property's finally vacant, and we're just waiting for the court to transfer ownership of the property. And like I said, the hearing is December 16th, and hopefully then we'd be able to go ahead and start, rehabilitating the property or possibly knock it down to then, build 3 new homes on the property.
Okay. So after your probate, that's your final hearing, then you're going to know who's going to own it. And at that point, you're going to make your decision as to whether to knock this down or repair it. How much time do you think that's going to take you?
Let me take a think here. We would be able to know at the next hearing about the distributing the asset. So if the judge approves the way that the attorney's distributing everything and allows them to put everything into their trust, then we should be able to take the ownership of the property by the end of December. We should be able to close before the end of the year. Then after that will probably be, I would say, another 30 days to be able to submit plans, whatever process we're going to, submit everything to engineers, architects, and, kind of go down that road.
Okay. Members of the board, you have questions for this gentleman? Anybody have any questions? No? Someone like to make a motion? You can choose or I can choose. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Sure.
All right, I move in case number CE 200003434. That based on evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Code ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation actions taken by the violator of the violation history, I grant 120 days to come in compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $200 per day be assessed. And the violations are the violations that are shown not complied on this agenda.
Okay. Do we have a second or any other discussion?
Fitzpatrick, I'll second.
Hey, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Sir, you have 120 days to finish with the probate and then do what you're going to do to the property, okay?
Can I ask a question?
You can ask a question, but we've already adjudicated your case.
Okay. We've been in court it's going to go on almost 2 years now. So we are hopefully at the end of the road. If there's any problems with that, are we able to speak to the officer, come back here and kind of let you guys know what's going on with that? Because, like what's happening with a lot of people here with the courts is just crazy right now.
You can speak with the code enforcement staff and what they can do. We've already made a decision on the 120 days, okay?
We'll do our best.
All right, thank you. Next case.
Thank you.
Turn to page 7, number 11, case number CE 2000-2049. The owner is Badger Investments LLC, location 7021 Filbert Lane. We have service. And someone is here for this case. If you're here for this case, come up now. Good morning. Raise your right hand.
Good morning.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And state your name and address.
It's Maya Ocasio, 7021 Filbert Lane, 33637.
And are you the tenant in this property?
Tenant.
Okay. And I don't have anybody here representing the owners. Thank you.
Okay, officer, go
Officer
ahead.
Joshua Steen, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. I first inspected the property located at 7021 Filbert Lane, Tampa, Florida, 33637 on February 12th, 2020. At the time of the inspection, the property was tenant occupied and not in foreclosure. During the inspection was a result of the complaint by the tenant that things weren't being repaired by the landlord, and I observed following conditions: nuisance conditions, fences, inoperable vehicles, light and ventilation in the lavatory. There will be no photo for that, as there was a technical issue with the server. But I can testify that there are no windows or ventilation system installed in the one of the bathrooms in the home. Plumbing leaks and/or defects. Plumbing fixture defective, screens, protective treatment, roofs and parts thereof, windows and exterior doors, interior surfaces, general standards for non-residential structures, doors and ceilings. I have had no contact with the property owner.
Okay. Ma'am, would you like to tell us?
Well, I did contact them for the rent because they did some evictions. I had no luck with them. They don't want to do no maintenance, so I did it by myself. I kind of what I could did, and I'm here now to see what they want to be able to do, or because I don't have actually a lease no more. My lease ended up, so I don't know.
Okay, that'd put you on a month to month. The inoperable vehicles, who do they belong to?
Yes, I got. They're not there anymore. I sold them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, members of the board, you have questions for this witness? Nobody has any questions? Okay. Just from my opinion, I don't think anybody should have to live in these type of conditions, but I'm asking for them. Go ahead.
Is witness there, is she representing the owner or is she just showing up as a tenant?
She's the tenant.
Okay, and she I heard the month to month. Does she have a lease or has she been evicted or what?
Yeah. Ma'am, answer his question, please.
Yes, I have a lease with me, and
Is it expired?
No, that's okay. Well, you mentioned eviction.
Her lease is expired.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, so if her lease is expired, then she's on a month to month, correct? Is it her real estate?
I would agree.
Okay. All right. So one of the board members want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, Anthony. It's Mark Urbaniak.
Sure. Go ahead.
I move in case number CE 20002049 that based on the evidence provided, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, that I grant 60 days to come into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $300 a day be assessed.
I'll second that.
For purposes of discussion?
Go ahead.
I'm just checking on process. I don't have a problem with the motion or the second, but I know Mr. Urbaniak's camera is off, and I think we have to have video when we do proposals or motions. I just want to make sure that it's legal. So.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I can restate it if you want. That's fine.
Yes, please.
Please.
Okay, no problem. I move in case number CE 20002049 that based on the evidence presented, I find the properties in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based upon the gravity of the violation, the action taken by the violator and the violator's history, that I grant 60 days to come into compliance. And if compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $300 a day be assessed.
I second that. Second by right.
Okay, a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, how many days was that?
60.
60 days.
Yes, sir.
You have 60 days. The owner has 60 days to come into compliance, or a fine will be assessed. Next case, please.
Turn to page 8, number 13, case number CE 2000-6893. The owner is Nicola Barnett. Location 6511 East 26th Avenue. We have service and someone is signed in for this case. Your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your name and address.
Nicolia Barnett, 5100 Dancing Bay Lane, West Chapel, Florida, 33543.
Thank you.
Officer, do we have an officer?
Good morning, Paul Rowan with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This case began at 6511 East 26th Avenue, began on May 11th of this year. Was part of a routine sweep through an area. Research found this 3/4 acre parcel was zoned RSC 9 and was not homesteaded. The property taxes, which I just checked, have still not been paid since 2017, but the property is not in foreclosure. The property owner has no history with this department. County records show that the property's been developed and there was a home on the property back in 2013, but that it has been demoed. The property is currently a vacant lot that has been allowed to overgrow. When this current property owner bought the property, they didn't proceed to maintain it and allowed it to continue to overgrow. The property owner has made progress in the last couple of months with some of the overgrowth, but it's only about 50%. And as you can see from the photographs, it's basically a jungle. And because of the condition of the property, people continue to dump. There are no life safety issues. That's the end of my testimony.
Okay. And somebody else have something to say?
Hi, good morning. I had purchased the property in that condition. When I purchased it in 29, I bought it on an auction and it was overgrown. When I received the letter in May 11th, I had called Mr. Paul and I said it was right after COVID. And I think the letter had stated 10 days to get it corrected. And I said, we just got out of COVID and I've been calling around. I can't get a company that does tree service at the moment. He had advised me to go ahead and remove the television and see if I could start it to work on it. After several attempts, I weren't able to locate actual tree company that would take the job. They all suggested that I should have get a permit and perhaps clear the property. So I went to the Home Depot, me and my husband, And we actually rented a machine and we went there and tried to get it fixed as best as possible at the moment. Right here is a slide where it could show that in August, when I had purchased the property, it was already overgrown. And I was explaining that to Mr. Paul. And like he said, I inherited a problem. It's not his problem. After I had made the correction with it, I removed the television and started clearing the property. I had called him and informed him. I think in June, around the 12th, I received a letter that I should be going to court. I called Mr. Paul and I said, okay, everyone, all the three companies are recommending that the property be clear because it's practically a forest. So he said he wasn't able to understand what I'm saying because of my accent or I'm speaking too fast. So I kept calling the zoning department. I've sent email and I'm asking questions. I'm like, could I get a permit or is it okay for me to clear the property? For 2 months, I went overseas for a funeral, so I just got back. Since I've got back, I've started to clean up the property. These are the slides here. I can't get a company to take the job just to go there. It's like a forest. So basically, I'm having family members where we rent equipment from Home Depot and keep trying to clear the property as best as possible. These are different photos that I've taken. As for the sofa that was shown in the photo, I went on Wednesday and I had removed all the debris from the property. I'm not sure, like I said, I would have permission to clear the property because that's what is being suggested by all the tree company that goes there. So if I could get permission to clear the property completely, that would be a great progress for me to get it done.
How long is it going to take you to clear the property?
Repeat that.
I didn't hear a response.
Repeat the question for us, please.
Yes, I'd like to know how long she thinks it would be to bring the property into compliance.
I currently have someone working on it now. Like I said, we are using just equipments from Home Depot because no professional personnel wants to take the job. They're suggesting that we need to get a permit to clear the entire property. If we're able to get a permit, I don't know if I could just, since it's like a forest, if I could just get a tree company to go there and get it all cleared, that would be a plus because I'm getting ready to build on the property.
Mr. Bordenero, just let me interject that she does not need a permit to clear overgrowth. She only needs a permit if she wants to cut down certain trees and stuff along those lines. But the violation doesn't apply to the trees. It only applies to the overgrowth on the property of grass, weeds, and vines. And she has made progress. I give her credit for that. It's recently, there's been quite a bit done. Whatever company she has going on, I just think she needs some more time to get it to the point where it's actually, she can eventually build a house up back onto the property.
Okay. Ma'am, did you hear what the officer said? Did you hear what the officer said, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you don't need to remove the trees. You just need to remove the underbrush and the debris. How long will that take you to do that?
We should be done, I would say, within at least 30 days or so.
Okay, thank you. Members of the board.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
All right, I move in case number C, 2000-6893. That based on evidence presented, I find that the properties in violation of Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances listed in staff's presentation, based on the gravity of the violation, actions taken by the violator's history. I get 45 days of compliance, if compliance is not achieved by that date. a fine of $45 per day be assessed.
I second Mr. Boland's motion. Lorenzen.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Okay, ma'am, you have 45 days.
And the fine amount?
Fine amount, I believe you said was $45.
Mm-hmm.
5 days, $45 a day.
Next case.
Turn to page 17, I'm sorry, page 10, number 17, case number CE 2000-2934. The owner is Jose Cardenas. Location 13127 Lewis Gallagher Road. We have service, and someone is signed in for this case.
Ladies and gentlemen, before this case starts, can you please double check
Raise your
your
right hand,
muting
please.
of your online mutes, please?
Affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yep.
And state your name and address.
Jose Cardenas, 2327 Luis Gallagher, RD, Dover, Florida, 33, 527, Dover, Florida.
Thank you. Are you only here to translate, ma'am?
Yes.
Can you give us your name and address on the record, please?
Angelica Estrada, 113-127 Lewis Gallagher, Dover, Florida, 33527.
Thank you.
Tyrone Lee, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property case number CE 20002934. Property located at 13127 Lewis Gallagher Road, Dover, Florida. Code enforcement first inspected this property on March the 2nd, 2020. 4 violations were found: accumulations, inoperable vehicles, windows and exterior doors, and stairs, porches, and appearances. 3 of the violations have been complied. The only violation remaining is windows and exterior doors. The property is not in foreclosure. I did have contact with the property owner, Mr. Cardenas. My last inspection on November the 5th, 2020 at 12:20. I responded to the property. I spoke with the wife and I posted the property with a notice. And Mr. Cardenas, I spoke to him on the phone through an interpreter. And he stated at the time that he was going to get the door fixed. And that's where we are today.
Solamente como que usted habló en lo que le dijeron y las donaciones que tiene.
Ma'am, it's his turn to talk.
Property was, hold on, let me see. Due to COVID-19, repairs were not done on time. And also because of budgeting, he lives on his Social Security of $805 a month. And he had no funds to pay a contractor. So he had volunteers to come and help to do the fixing. The door was replaced. The windows were repaired with the border frames. Skirting around the house was done. The house was washed and painted. Areas around the house was clean with no plants or garden, and steps were fixed. And we have pictures of it. And this
Okay,
is
so
how the house looks now.
Ma'am, you're telling us that everything is done? Ma'am?
And this is how the door came out to be as a part of the inside. And this is the outside part. And this is just another picture of the door, how it looked, of course, before it was painted.
Okay.
But this is how I had more pictures, but I didn't develop them. I didn't copy them. So this is
That's
pretty
fine.
much how the house looked.
Okay, ma'am, that's fine. What you're telling us is he is in compliance. Everything has been fixed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So.
I don't know if he needs to submit receipts of the property being fixed.
No, we don't need to do that. What we'll need to do is, members of the board, if somebody would like to make a motion with a short date, the inspector can go out and the officer can go out and re-inspect the property. All right, this is an easy one.
I'm happy to make a motion. Oh, excellent. Ms. Clayton, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I'll be glad to make the motion. I move in case CE 20002934 that based on the evidence presented, I find the properties in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation and the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 30 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $150 a day be assessed.
I'll second the motion for a purpose of discussion, but Ms. Clayton, I think the testimony has been that the owner has completed all of the repairs and the property is in compliance. So would you consider doing a 7-day so that we could get somebody out there sooner to get that approved and checked off the list instead of waiting 30 days?
That's fine. Yes, I would change it to 7 days instead of 30 days.
Fantastic. I'm happy to second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Okay, ma'am, they're going to come out. They're going to inspect the property. Next case, please.
How many days?
7 days. Within 7 days. Next case, please.
Next case is number 18, case number CE 2000-0438. The violator is Specialized Loan Servicing. Location 104 Phillips Drive. We have service, and Jonathan Mesker has signed in virtually. If I could get him on the screen to give the oath.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mesker. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Jonathan Mesker, 4 Ohio, 3634.
You're representing Specialized Loan Servicing?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Attorney?
Are you an attorney, sir?
I am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Larry Hoffman, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is in regards to property at 104 Phillips Drive in Sefner, Florida, 33584. This case was started in January of this year. The property is in foreclosure and is vacant and has been cited for failure to maintain foreclosed property. The remaining violation is overgrowth. I last visited the property yesterday, and the property remains as the pictures depict here. I have been in contact with Service Link, which is a property preservation company. She notified me that she has gotten approval to take care of the overgrowth, that she hoped to have it done by yesterday, but as my visit yesterday, it has not been done, so it still remains in violation.
Okay, and Counselor?
Yes, it was my understanding that the original violations were for electrical wiring and pool mitigation as far as an exposed pool. So I guess the last time that the officer went out, we were notified of these new violations with regards to the overgrown grass and a wasp's nest. I have contacted our client. They said that they will be sending somebody out there ASAP. So I'm assuming within the next few days or so. So today we're just asking for a few more days as far as an extension goes to allow the property preservation team to go out there and cure those violations.
Okay, officer, any safety hazards?
If I just may add to that a little bit.
Sure.
The property was originally cited for failure to maintain a foreclosed property, and specifically was for exposed wiring and pool issues. At that time of the notice, the property preservation was maintaining the property, and for some unknown reason, they stopped. So that's when I alerted them that the overgrowth is still part of the failure to maintain, and that's when she agreed to get the work orders to take care of that.
Okay, there's no safety issue here, correct?
That's correct, just overgrowth at this time.
Okay, members of the board. Questions, comments, or motion?
I'll make a motion, Anthony.
Go ahead.
I move in case CE 200000438 that based on the evidence presented, I find the properties in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based upon the gravity of violation, the action taken by the violator and the violator's history, that I grant 14 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $250 a day be assessed.
Second, Lorenzen.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, y'all have 14 days to come into compliance.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. Next case, please.
Turn to page 11, number 20. Case number CE 2000-5346. The owner is the estate of Annie M. Edwards. Location 7109 Renwood Circle. We have service. And Sonia Edwards is appearing virtually. And if I could get her to give her the oath on the screen.
I don't see an oath on the screen.
Is Ms. Edwards?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see an oath on the screen.
No, ma'am, they need
Raise
to.
your right hand, please, ma'am. Raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hello?
Address.
Yes, I affirm that I will.
State your name and address, ma'am.
Something's going on with my computer. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Please state your name and address.
Sonia Edwards, 7109 Renwood Circle, Tampa 33617.
Thank you.
Hey, officer.
Good morning, Board. Officer Larry Hoffman, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This property is related in regards to 7109 Renwood Circle in Tampa, Florida, 33617. Case was started on April 15th of this year. It was based on the neighbor's complaint regarding an unkept pool. The property is in foreclosure and is occupied. It is in the estate of Miss Annie M. Edwards. And I visited the property on the same day, 4/15, and upon my visit, I observed two inoperable vehicles in the driveway, a blue Ford pickup and a gray Camry truck, both with no tags and having flat tires. I did make contact with Ms. Edwards at the location, advisor of the violations. For my subsequent visits, the pool issue has been addressed and no longer in violation, and one vehicle has been removed. The only car that's left there is the gray Camry, which is depicted in the pictures. I went there several times recently, twice this week, in an attempt to see if I can help her, if I can told her if I can get that car pushed in the garage, we can comply the case. I have not been able to get in touch with her. I did speak with the neighbor next door, left her my car, and she advised me that Miss Edwards had become ill recently and was not staying at the property, but her brothers and sisters were maintaining the property. And I again said, if there's anything I can do, if we can help, we can get that car into the driveway, into the garage, that everything, we could comply the case. I visited the property yesterday on the 19th, and the vehicle remains in the driveway.
Okay, ma'am, what would you like to tell us?
Okay, the vehicle was removed last night. It is not there.
Okay. So you're saying you're in compliance?
Yes, sir.
All right, board members, can we get a motion for a short date so it can be re-inspected?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
All right, I move a case number CE 200005346. That based on evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I agree in 7 days to come in compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $100 per day be assessed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion's carried. Ma'am, your property be inspected within the next 7 days. If everything's in compliance, we're done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Next
Okay, to
case,
correct
please.
the record on that, I believe the case number may have been read wrong as far as what I could hear. The case number on that is CE 2000-5346. Thank you. On page 12, number 21, case number CE 2000-2921. The owner is Brian J. Anderson, location 212 Lentz Road. We have service, and Mr. Anderson has signed in here. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Brian Anderson, 212 Lentz Road, Brandon, Florida, 33510.
Thank you.
Officer, go ahead.
Officer Michael Hernando, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This property was first inspected on February 27th of 2020. And it was last inspected when I gave service at 11/05/20. It's zoned RSC4 and its address is 212 Lentz Road. Case number is 2002921. The violations are overgrowth, recreational utility vehicles exceeds allowable number, and inoperable vehicles. Upon my last inspection, the property was still in violation.
Okay, sir, what would you like to tell us?
Most of these violations have been corrected. I still have an inoperable vehicle. I tried to push it into the garage yesterday, but it has a flat tire. I do have some pictures to show the property is now in compliance.
All right, you're saying it is in compliance, or are you saying that you still have one vehicle that is not in compliance?
I have a Jeep that I believe was noted on the original order that needs to be moved into the garage. And then I have one boat that needs to be removed. That Jeep needs to go into the garage. That boat is now moved. The boat on the left is moved. The boat on the right needs to be removed from the property.
How long will it take you to put the Jeep inside the garage and remove the boat?
If I could have an additional 30 days, I should be able to perform the mechanical issues on the boat, and the Jeep will be moved this weekend.
Okay, so you're looking at 30 days. That's what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Members of the board.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Discussion. I'm moving case number CE 20002921 that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, that I grant 30 days to come into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $250 per day be assessed.
Second, Lorenzen.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Sir, you have 30 days, but when you get it done, contact the code officer and have him come out for an inspection.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next case, please.
Next case is number 22, case number CE 2000-2955. The owner is the Islamic Center of Brandon Incorporated. Location 1014 Victoria Street. We have service, and we have someone joining us virtually for this case.
Mr. Amani, are you online?
Yes, this is me. Yes, I'm here.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Ali Al Ahmad, 1006 Victoria Street, Brandon, Florida, 33510.
Okay, and what is your relation to this case?
I'm the director of the organization.
You.
You're welcome.
Okay, officer.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, it's Officer Hernando, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. There's two cases against this property owner. They're both for commercial vehicles. Case number 200-16168 and case number 200-2955. Both for commercial vehicles. Both properties are adjacent to each other. The first one is 1102 Victoria Street, and the other one is 111014 Victoria Street, which are directly adjacent properties, and they are adjacent to the Islamic Center of Brandon. All these properties are owned by the Islamic Center of Brandon, and both properties are zoned RSC6, and they have had multiple instances of commercial vehicle parking. What the properties are now in compliance. What we're asking for is a order to remain in compliance for both properties, or the center will have to rezone the property so that they can park.
Okay, sir, would you like to tell us anything?
No, sir, just to let you know that this organization has more than 500 members, and we don't really have control on, people coming all the time, and they have some gathering, but we are actually working on signs to put on the front of the buildings and the parking lot to let them know that they are not allowed to be parking there for commercial or any cars more than 24 hours.
Okay. Members of the board. Discussion or motion? All right, come on, guys. This is an easy one.
I'll be happy to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move in case CE 200029555 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property was in violation of Hillsborough County Code or ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, I find the property is now in compliance with this code provision, order that it remain in compliance with this code provision.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Lorenzen, don't go nowhere. Ms. Meyer, if you would read the other case.
Turn to page 13, number 23, case number CE 20016168. And the owner is the Islamic Center of Brandon Incorporated, location 1102 Victoria Street, and we have service.
Okay, and we're going to accept the same testimony that we accepted on the other case.
Yes.
And Mr. Lorenzen, if you would, go ahead and make your motion.
These are in compliance.
I can't hear anything.
Microphone.
Thank you. I move in case CE 200016168 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property was in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, I find the property is now in compliance with this code provision in order that it remain in compliance with this code provision.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed? Motion carries. Next case, please.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I believe that concludes the citizens who have signed in for this hearing. So everything else, no one has appeared.
Okay. Seeing there's no one present in the audience for the remaining cases on the agenda, the board will now review the case material previously provided to the county staff. The board finds the property is in violation of county code as is listed in staff's presentation. The board's ruling for each case will be based on the evidence presented and the gravity of the violation, the action taken by the violator, and the violator's history in determining the amount of fine that will be assessed. And the way we're going to do this, since I can't see you all, is we will start with Mr. Bowling. We will move to Clayton. And we will move to Miss Orazio, then Mr. Fitzpatrick.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I did.
Yes.
I did register, and my case wasn't.
You registered and your case was not heard?
They're addressing that right now, sir.
Okay. Well, while they're addressing that, then it will be Mr. Lorenzen, Mr. Urbaniki, and then Miss Wright. And I will let you know whose turn it is. Once we get to Southern Meadow Sutter,
Okay, board members, we do have another person. I apologize. I was not aware. If you'll turn to page 6, number 9, case CE 2000-9804, and the owner is Land Trust number DRCLG 825 Montague, Tampa. And the location is Meadow Parkway, west of Sheldon Road, and we have service. And is it virtual? It's virtual. And we have a party signed in virtually for this case. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address.
Frank Lafalce, Lafalce, 100 South Ashley Drive, Tampa, Florida 33602.
I'm sorry, but I'm getting feedback on my end. Could everybody mute their microphones?
Good morning. I'm Officer Michael Smoke, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This case came to our attention originally back on June 26th. Multiple citizen complaints about a roadway that runs west off of Sheldon Road over into the Country Way subdivision. I responded to the scene and was able to determine that the piece of property is a private parcel that has not been constructed on, and it consists only of a paved roadway that runs from Sheldon Road over into Montague Street and Country Way. I determined through the property appraiser's office that the property has no physical address. The parcel number is 004,339.0105. And it is known by the private roadway name of Meadow Parkway. This roadway is the only access that residents of the Meadowbrook Village Mobile Home Park have to their residences. Upon arrival, I was able to observe numerous conditions at the property. The main complaint that we were receiving was that the asphalt roadway was in disrepair and suffering from many deep potholes that were causing damage to people's vehicles. In addition to the potholes and the condition of the roadway, I observed a number of inoperable vehicles, a number of commercial vehicles. I also observed overgrowth on the north side of the roadway all the way from Sheldon Road back to Montague Street. According to the property appraiser's website, I was able to determine that the owner of the property is Land Trust NODRCLG 8525 Montague Street, Tampa, Stress-Free Property Management, Inc. trustee. The address for the company is local at 4501 East Columbus Drive, Suite A in Tampa, Florida. As far as the property appraiser's website, it's zoned PD. It's described as a right-of-way, and it is not in foreclosure. Cited the listed owner of the property for these violations that I just described, and later on met with, I went to the actual address of the property and hand delivered a notice of hearing. At that time, the person that I provided the notice of hearing to acknowledged that they were the company listed on the notice, and advised them that the situation needed to be taken care of.
Okay. Sir, would you like to respond?
Yes, I am counsel for the landowner. Just a few points of clarification. This is actually a dead end. It's not all the way into Montague Street. And it serves a subdivision to the north and the mobile home park south. I believe there is another entrance to the mobile home park right off of Golden Road, but that's not really relevant to what we're discussing today. My client's position has consistently been that it is not the owner of this property. There is a lawsuit pending in Hillsborough County Circuit Court right now to determine ownership. We should get that to its final hearing within the next, I would hope, 90 to 120 days. This road was deeded out of the parcel that my client acquired another parcel at a tax deed sale. Our position was that this road was really not part of that parcel that was acquired at the deed sale. We believe the true owners of our homes. They are contesting that, which is why the lawsuits take as much time as it has. I don't think the county property appraiser's office contests our version of the fact, but we need to go through a quiet title or declaratory judgment action, determine ownership.
Okay. Members of the board, do you have questions? I have one question for the attorney. How long do you think this process is going to take?
Well, the courts are starting to schedule hearings a little more quickly since it's been open. This is a summary judgment hearing. It doesn't really take testimony. It's a case decided on the basis of documents. So we should hopefully get a court date, I would say, within 90 to 120 days. And it's basically a case that can be decided based on public records.
Okay. And for the officer, are there any safety issues with this road?
Well, according to the residents of Meadowbrook, the condition of the roadway, the potholes is causing damage to the vehicle. But as far as any physical safety to people, no.
Okay. The attorney said that there was an alternate route into that mobile home park. Have you noticed it, or did you check for one?
According to the mapping, according to the property appraiser site, there is no alternative entrance to Meadowbrook. It is the only way that the residents can get in.
Okay, so we haven't physically gone to see if there is or is not a road or some way for them to get in. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
I said, so we have not physically determined whether there is or is not a road that the mobile home people could use to get in and out of.
I'd have to answer no at the present time, but I don't know of any other entrance to the park.
There is one off of Sheldon. It's gated. But that's why everybody uses the other one.
It is gated?
So it's got like a visitor's, one of the visitor station type things to go in. So it's more inconvenient for the residents to go in that way because there's several side streets off the Meadow Parkway that lead back into the park.
Okay. All right, members of the board, do you have questions? Okay, for my opinion, I think we should continue this case to allow the court to have its time to do what it needs to do. And if the residents are going to use this road, they're just going to have to be aware of the way it is. That's my opinion. If anybody else has an opinion or wishes to make a motion, it's your time.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to continue this case for 120 days.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Motion carries. You have a 120-day continuance.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, are we back to nobody in the audience or virtual screen?
Okay. Hey.
Hey.
Susan, hi guys. How many cases do we have left, Susan?
4 cases where no one has appeared.
Okay. Can we take maybe like a quick break? And maybe you can call me on my cell phone. I just had an issue that came up. Nothing with the board members, just an issue. Can we take a quick break?
Do we need to take a quick break, or could you be just notified by cell phone if we need you?
Well, this involves some of the cases that are remaining on the agenda, so.
Okay, we'll take a quick break.
Okay, thank you.
You need 10 minutes?
Probably, yeah, 10 would be good.
Okay. We're gonna be in recess for 10 minutes.
Okay. Susan, can you call me on my cell phone? Susan. Hello.
I can hear you, Sheree. I don't know.
Okay. I was trying to get Susan to call me because this is off the
Okay, this meeting is back in order.
Good. Go House. Go House.
Can they hear me? Yes. Hi, this is Susan. We are not going to hear, there are only 4 cases left on the agenda, and we are not going to hear those cases due to some kind of a technical difficulty that we've got over the cases. So if the chair would adjourn the hearing at this time, we will be finished.
The meeting is adjourned.